Hi everyone. Hey, to Wednesdays with English with a Twist. It's Shanti Kumaraswamy Street here, and for another lesson on anything and everything to do with business English. So are we ready? You find me here wearing a fleece because it's really cold in London at the moment. I think it is about -2, -3. Gosh, so it's really super cold. So I'm here and I will soon be making myself a cup of hot tea afterwards to keep me nice and warm. Ah, the nice cold. It reminds me of the days when I was at university here, living in those really cold student houses, and it was really horrible. Anyway, I'm glad I'm now in a nice warm house. So how's it going, everybody? We're the 30th of November. Can you believe it? We are how many weeks away from Christmas? That is just a scary thought. Any one of you prepared for Christmas yet? For those of you who celebrate Christmas, ready? Done your Christmas cards? Done your Christmas shopping? I hope not. Please tell me you haven't, because I dreaded to know that you are that organized. But, you know, there are some people who are. So, hey, there you go. Anyway, lovely to see you. Please come on in. Hi, Sunil. Good evening. Where are you from? Where are you calling from? Or where you're zooming into this class? Thank you for everyone who is on the other side of the world zooming into this class. I am very honored that you're coming in at this late hour. Also, anyone on this side of the world, hi everybody, and I know maybe this is the middle of your working day, so I really appreciate you taking some time out to come into this class. So it's exciting news. So don't forget, we are here talking business English. Hi Prabha, business English, and talking anything about that. So don't forget to have a look at my Facebook page, and before we go on, have a look also at my website, englishwithatwist.com, and don't forget to also download your free e-guide on how to be a more confident communicator in English. Hey Anna, how are you? Nice to see you too. Glad you could join us. Anyway guys, so what's in for you? Thank you for your loyalty. Well, thank you to you actually. Hey Poland, Krakow, are you cold there? Are you as cold as we are, Anna? Because I'm super cold. I didn't go for my run today. It was too cold. Anyway, listen guys, I have lots to do today. We're very busy today in this class. We are going to be looking today at the subject of small talk in English. And I will also be listening out to a nice, a little announcement, not a nice announcement, an important announcement I'll be making later on in the lesson. So hi Cyprian, hi Nesu. I'm beginning to see some regular people coming into this lesson. I am so thrilled, and thank you so much. You're such loyal clients and followers. I'm really pleased. Thank you so much for that. It makes it all the more sort of exciting and makes me feel so enthusiastic about doing these lessons. Anyway, small talk. Any one of you have to make small talk when in English? It's a big area of business English actually, because one of my clients recently told me that small talk, in her opinion, makes up 50% of business success. Yeah, because, and do you agree with that? I think I do, because it is an important part of business. Yeah, imagine you are at a meeting, you're at a conference, and apart from those meetings that you're going to have where you're going to be discussing business, there's a lot of other communication that goes on. And business is all about people. We're interested in people. People will do business with you because they connect with you as people. So consequently, we need to show an interest in the other person, and they have to show an interest in us. So it's always very interesting to show that interest and to build a strong connection and consequently a strong relationship so that your business can progress and you can succeed. Cyprian, I'm so glad you're interested in what I'm about to say. Hope so. So stay tuned. So anyway, let's do this. So today with small talk, I want to share with you 10 tips on how you can engage more meaningfully with people when you're in business. Now, where would you typically have small talk? So let's look at some situations. It could be when you first arrive at a meeting. So you have arranged an appointment, you get to the meeting, and your clients offer you tea, coffee. They ask you how whether you found the place okay, whether you had any trouble, was it difficult getting to them, and that sort of conversation that happens. You then have also situations where, for example, you are at maybe a conference, very important, and you also maybe have corporate events, not outside conferences. Maybe your company organizes corporate events for your clients, for your colleagues, and you are then going to be socializing with people, and that's where small talk becomes really important, because people that's the time when you have those interesting little conversations, and it's those conversations that can lead to potentially important connections, important deals. Sibran, you say you always have meetings with your suppliers. Again, suppliers are great because you're forging a connection, a relationship. Yeah, people deal with people. So the more they like you, the more they'll stay and do business with you. They don't do business with a company. They do business with people. So let's have a look. Prabha, hi. Nice to see you. Angeliki, lovely to see you too. Thank you. So let's have a look at this. Someone said, and before I forget, don't worry, these 10 tips that I'll be showing you will all be in the link after this lesson. So don't you worry about anything. So if you miss anything, don't worry. And of course, this lesson is recorded. Someone said, when I wrote about this lesson, that small talk is, companies like people in small talk who are able to think on their feet. Now, what does think on your feet mean? It's an idiomatic expression. Now, if I look at the dictionary, the Macmillan Dictionary, anyone can see, you will see that that's what they say is, and I'm quoting, that small talk is where you thinking on your feet is where you can think of good ideas and making decisions quickly in a difficult situation. So you're thinking on your feet, you're in the middle of something, somebody asks you something, and you have to think fast. Now, would you think that small talk is about thinking on your feet? Some people would say yes. And I would say that particularly if you're engaging in small talk in a language that is not your own, then yes, I have clients who said to me, it's a difficult situation, I feel awkward and I don't know what to say. On top of that, there are different cultures treat small talk differently. In some cultures, small talk is not necessary. They don't like it. They feel uncomfortable. For example, German clients, and I had a lesson this morning with one of my German clients, and he said, Germans don't like to engage in small talk. We just like to get down to business. But if they're going to be dealing with the British or with somebody else, then they have to get involved in small talk. They have to engage. Remember last week's lesson? They said, I said that how to do business with the British. British, we love small talk. We really need. So you can't avoid small talk. So you have to say that. Interesting. I'm just going to keep dipping in because I'm seeing a lot of people making comments. Sibran, you said you need to be socially savvy. Interesting. Socially savvy. Yes. And I'm going to come to that. And that comes to do with being prepared in those situations. So let's have a look. I'm going to go through these 10 tips. Don't worry, as I said, you'll have all the notes to this lesson so that you can follow them more carefully and think about it more. First of all, let's have a look at the first tip, and it is very much body language, because here again I want to stop and say that small talk is not all about what we say and how we say it. It's also all about the non-verbal communication we show the person that we're speaking to. So let's look at body language. Imagine yourself, you are at a corporate event and you have to mingle, and you see somebody and you think, okay, I really need to approach them, I need to talk to them. So how's your body language going to be? No crossing of arms, we want an open stance, nice posture, good eye contact, and a warm smile. So already that immediately suggests this person is a welcoming person. I want, I'm interested, like that. They have a nice smile, they're giving me nice eye contact. So that's what you want to do. Now, one cultural warning here, where those of you who have to deal with different cultures, there are certain rules in terms of how close you stand with to each other. In some cultures, they don't like you to come too close. In others, you can. So just be conscious of that. Nobody wants you to come right up. It makes a person feel uncomfortable. So think about that. But really, most of the time, it's just nice smile and good posture. The second is, and this is interesting because when I was doing the research on this, I thought, I'm sure most of my clients don't do this. And in fact, actually, it's a very important point. Be the first person to say hello. Now, most non-native speakers of English, and particularly if you're not very confident of your English, the last thing you want to do is go up there and introduce yourself and say hello. You think, oh no, I'm not going to do that. But just think for a minute, what if it were you that went up to them and said, hello, nice to meet you. May I introduce myself? My name is, I am from, and you're the first person to say hello. And funny, that would actually be, immediately you can introduce yourself, say hello, and perhaps ask an open-ended question. So introducing yourself, you could say, yes, hello, may I introduce myself? My name is, or hello, let me introduce myself. Hello, and you are, and you ask the person. A lot of times we have badges and you can see people's names and which company they're from, and that tends to be easier. But that immediately gives you that reason to say something to them. And you can also ask them an open question. Now, what is an open question? It could be, hello, how do you know our host? Or perhaps, maybe you're standing in a beautiful place, because you've been invited to this corporate event, and you go, oh, look, what a spectacular view. I mean, isn't this just wonderful? Or what a wonderful room this is. And you immediately introduce something different, and everyone goes, oh, right, yes, I hadn't noticed, it's wonderful. And you get, so these are little things you could do, which is just allowing you to, and because you are starting that conversation, they are having to respond to you instead of the other way around, where they start asking you questions and you're standing there thinking, how do I answer? I don't know what to answer. So it's almost, taking that moment and owning it and doing it yourself. So, it could be something like that. So you could do that. Or maybe, I've had this sometimes where, you're pouring yourself a cup of coffee or something, or you don't quite know how these coffee machines or whatever open, it's like, and you sit there. And I sometimes do that. I'll be going, do you know how this works? I'm not too sure. And that sort of breaks the ice also, because the other person will go, oh, I don't know, is this? And, and then both of you are trying to work something out. And that immediately starts a small little conversation. And then you look at the person's badge and you think, oh, well, hello, hi, oh, yes, you first time here, and so you start that conversation going. So, so don't worry about, so start that. And I thought to myself, when I was reading this, I thought, good point, because it puts you in a position of strength instead of the other way around. Maria, hi, lovely to see you. So there you go. So number one is your body language. Number two, be the first to say hello. Tip number three. Why not, when you're looking around, so say for example, you have a look, so you're in a beautiful room, or you have the spectacular view outside, or maybe you've just listened to an incredibly inspiring talk, and all of you were in this talk, and you could just start with a little question of, wasn't that a wonderful talk? I mean, what do you think? It was just wonderful. If you're in this room, what a spectacular room. I love this. Or you could say, do you work near here? So it's something about the area you're in, so make a comment about, have a look, observe around you, and just pick up some notes. You probably do it in your own language, so do it also in English, and you don't need complex language. So try that. So begin with a statement or a question. So, do you work around here? Or isn't that just a beautiful floral arrangement? I don't know, whatever. But, just be aware of your surroundings. Look at where you are and perhaps try and pick up something. Another thing that is really good, and I think that kind of, I feel it sometimes works better for women maybe than men. I think there is a gender difference in the sense of paying a compliment. Paying a compliment, okay, maybe paying a compliment, I'm thinking about appearance, for example. I've done this before. Paying a compliment to someone is a great way to start a conversation. Think about it. Oh, you come up to someone, you go, oh, I just love that tie. I love your tie. Oh, it's wonderful. Oh, I love the colors, or I love whatever it is. If it's a woman I'm talking to sometimes, and I always admire jewelry. I love costume jewelry, and I'm just like, oh, I just love that. It was just beautiful, beautiful colors, or, whatever that is. Obviously, it has to feel comfortable for you. Or it could be someone that you respect, and it's someone that you know or you've heard of, you've read their books, you've read their articles. You could go up to them and just say, excuse me, I just want to say, I just love your blog, or I loved the recent article you wrote about blah, blah, blah. In a recent conference I was at in Munich, I saw someone who writes a lot of materials for English language teachers, and I only know her from her reputation. And I don't know her, but I went up to her and I said, excuse me, I'd just like to say that I really love what you produce, and, thank you so much. And, that's immediately she went, oh, thank you so much. And then, she goes, oh, so she looks at my badge, and then we start chatting, and so that's a great way, compliment people. We all like to feel good about ourselves. So if you can make them feel good, you're on to a winner, as we would say in English. So, I'm a huge fan, or whatever that is. Number 4, and I think you've already mentioned, some of you have also already mentioned, is to be well informed and be prepared. So this is what I think also Cyprian, is it Cyprian or are you George? I've seen you before and I'm not too sure how I should call you. Sorry, please forgive me. Be well informed and prepared. For example, if you're going to an important event and it's about a topic on certain topics, then maybe you want to read up and, just be prepared for certain topics that could come up in the conversation or that you might want to discuss. So it allows you to mingle and, be involved in that conversation. You do not have to have high level of English. You just have to just be, just be aware. And it says, yes, I read that recent article and I found that very interesting. And again, the trick is turning the conversation so that the other person's doing the talking rather than you. And so then you're not in that position of having to talk a lot and then think, oh gosh, I can't find my words. So these are little tricks you can do. Number 5, and this is really important because we tend to forget, all of us do. And then if you're so focused on your language, on your English and sounding fluent, sounding professional, you completely forget the other person. So very important. Number 5 is to focus on the other person and less on yourself. So good eye contact is good. Listen to what they're saying and make them feel, important. If, for example, as a native speaker of English, I would understand if somebody else is not so confident in their English, and then I would, start, I'd ask them some questions and then try and make them feel comfortable. And particularly if you're maybe the host, maybe your company is hosting an event and you've got maybe colleagues, potential customers there, and so you want to make them feel relaxed. And so that's what you want to do. And you also want to make them feel important. So it could be about helping them out, listening to them, making this compliment. So it's all building that out and not constantly thinking about, oh, what am I going to say next? So just a few questions and allows them to start talking. Starting the conversation, yes, Ricardo, and we mentioned it earlier. If you've just come into the lesson, hi, yes, be the first to say hello. We mentioned that earlier. Thank you. So focusing on this other person then leads us to tip 6, which is actively listening to the person who's talking to you. Active listening is something that very, very few people learn to do well, especially if you're too busy thinking about what you're going to say next. And when you don't actively listen, you don't actively engage with people. And what happens when you don't actively engage with them is they think he or she is not interested. So I don't know why I'm wasting my time talking. And this person only wants to do business, only wants my business, but is not really interested in me as a person. You might not be interested in this person as a person, but we all have to play a role. So active listening is so, so important. And there are ways that we can actively listen. Because also active listening, one, makes this person feel important, but also two, as you're listening to what they're saying, you can pick up on things that you can think, okay, this is my next question I could ask them, and keep that conversation going. For example, so don't get distracted. I have been to many corporate events where you're busy talking to that person. Isn't that nothing worse than the other person not giving you eye contact? Because while they're talking, while they're listening to you, they're busy scanning the room, looking around, shifting, and you just think, you know what? Are you listening to me? Are you interested in me? Or would you rather go somewhere else? Because if that's the case, please go. I don't need you to be talking to me. So don't get distracted. Actively listen. Listen into what they're saying. Now, I know some people it might be more difficult to understand them if maybe their English is not as good, or they perhaps have a different accent to what you're used to. So then you do really have to listen carefully. But there could just be little things and little facts that they say that you think, oh, okay, I'm going to mention it. Now, so, or they give you free information, or they say something. So it could be something like, for example, I'm going on holiday. I'm really excited about this new project. So they're in the middle of talking, and this new project we're working on, it's really exciting. And I can't wait to, to discuss the next phase of this project, blah, blah, blah. I've just written an ebook on whatever, or the latest article I read was about, and so you're listening in and you think, okay, and you then picture this and you say, okay, they've said something, and you could then pick that up. So say, for example, they said, oh, I was in Chicago last week, blah, 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 on a conference or whatever it was, and you could say, oh, maybe they just say, oh, when I was in Chicago last week, and you say, oh, you mentioned you were in Chicago last week. What were you doing there? And they, oh, great, because you've asked them a question, it's all about them. And so then they could say, oh, well, I was at a conference. Oh, how interesting. What was the conference about? Well, it was very fascinating. And there you go. The conversation continues. But they're doing the talking and you're doing the listening. They could say something like, for example, yes, we're going on holiday to Malaysia. Our first stop is going to be Kuala Lumpur, and I could say something like, Kuala Lumpur, wow, hey, that's where I grew up. Oh, wow, and how long are you going for? Is that your first time? And so immediately you're picking what they've said and then building on it. And, so there are lots of little tricks that you can do, which I'm sure you've done in your own language. And so all you're doing is transferring it into English. But it's those little tricks that allow you to keep that conversation going. So actively listen, because truly listening to someone is the biggest compliment that you can pay them, isn't it? I mean, you're here listening to me. I'm very, very honored, and I am very, very thankful and grateful to all of you. But you could perhaps, and it's always great because, you do want people to listen to you if you've got something to say. And similarly, if you do it to them, they will do it back to you, unless they're incredibly rude. But, that's another conversation. So we're at tip 6. We've done that. So we're actively listening. Now, tip 7, and again, this is perhaps on what topics you can talk about. And I always like to keep, these small engagements in between, is to keep to topics that are light, nothing too heavy. Perhaps the corruption in your country, or, the state of politics in your country, or anything that's a bit too, oh, did you hear the latest results? It was dreadful. And, and they, oh gosh, this person's a bit, a bit gloomy. So you don't want to do that. So you want to keep it light. You want to keep it sort of, maybe the weather's always great, straight, or holidays. We're coming up to Christmas, for example. A lot of people, so what have you got planned? Going anywhere? No, time with pop culture. Yes, I think it depends on, I suppose, your audience, George, whether it be pop culture or not, but you are the best. You're going to know the industry you're working in, the people you're working with, and the sort of topics that would be of interest to each other, so you decide that and keep it light, sort of, yes, you could discuss cuisine if you're in a corporate event and you're there busy helping yourself to coffee, and there's some nice little biscuits and you think, oh, those look delicious. Oh, wonderful. Oh, yes, I had the most marvelous macaroons the last time I was in Paris, and it was wonderful. And you're like, oh, wow, great, super. And, then you start discussing for half an hour about macaroons. Cyprian, thank you, sorry. Thank you. I finally know what to call you. Thank you. Sorry, I'm sort of butting in and talking and looking at the screen. It keeps it all very interesting, this live lesson. So that, keep it light and keep it positive, your topic, unless of course you have to talk about something serious, but let's hope not. And then what you want to do is also, tip number 8 is perhaps you want to also keep some general interests. If you're looking to build a connection, people are, we're all full characters, we're full personalities. We don't only have our job, we don't only have our work, we have things that make us interesting. What makes us interesting? What makes you interesting? It's not necessarily just going to be about your work. Yes, I think that everyone likes to talk about mundane events. Yes, we like to keep it neutral. Sorry, Cyprian, I was just saying, yes, keeping it on neutral territory, as we would say. But in terms of general interest, and we're talking about, let people see the sort of person that you are, the personality that you are. You're not just, okay, I'm a business English language trainer, but I'm not necessarily someone who is just that. I don't only just do that. I'm interested in what? I'm interested in theatre, in cinema, and the way that you, what I do is I like books and I like cooking, as some of you might have noticed on my Facebook page the other day. I love cooking and I love, trying out different recipes and things. So, okay, I'm in a corporate event. They don't all need to know about my hobbies, but you could bring it in. Maybe you're talking about something and maybe you're discussing topics such as the latest film you saw, the latest holiday you had, and you say, I'm, say for example, you love travel, and you could say, well, I'm really interested in photography, and it's been a passion of mine, and so you start chatting, and they go, oh, right, and so then that can, so you're bringing in something about yourself that makes you three-dimensional, a full person, not this corporate figure. Now, culturally, I know it depends on different cultures. Some cultures, let's stick to business. We don't want to discuss too much. But certainly, if you're going to be doing business with the British or with a lot of, I would say, a lot of native English speakers, then they tend to, the Americans, the Canadians, we like to find out more about each other. You talk to the Italians, Spanish, there's so much more. And so it's a great way of doing that, of just giving someone, and also then asking them questions. So you could sort of say, and also you could give them some ideas about what you did before, and maybe from the company. I spent 10 years working in this company, and building this, and whatever. So there are lots of ideas you can have, and you just think, so think more than just your job and what you're just there to do. But with all this talking, we really need to sometimes think before we speak. So sometimes some people are not as diplomatic, so we need to just think before we speak. And also, if you're trying to find the words that you can't find, don't worry about pausing for a moment and just giving yourself that breather before you speak again, and think, okay, now before I speak, can I say this or can I not say that? Because small talk, as you will find out over a period of time, because I'm going to be talking and writing a lot about this, is cultural, is a lot culture. It is also being sensitive to the other side. So there are certain topics that some cultures are happy to discuss, and other topics where, I mean, it's funny, for example, for us, if you go to the Far East, in some parts of the Far East, where they're very happy to ask you, the first thing to ask you is how much you earn. What's your salary? And you think, really? No, I'm not going to tell you what that is. They just say, so what do you earn? Oh, you got a new job, what do you earn? And you're like, oh, excuse me? That's a bit too personal. You don't ask me. In some cultures where you don't ask about family. So it's useful. And of course you will, if you're working in a global company, you will have a lot of experience having seen this. And so it's really, really important to just bear that in mind and think before you're about to say something, in case you think, oh, maybe that's not something I should say. Look, please, this is easier said than done, because many a times I've sort of said something and then thought, oh crumbs, maybe I shouldn't have said that. So don't worry about that too much. We all make mistakes, so it's not a problem. But it's just finding different ways and testing it. So so there you go. Again, I'm always running out of time. This is terrible. Timekeeping is not very good with me. I'm so sorry, people. I won't keep too much of your time left. Now, the last tip I have for you today is always close the conversation. So you're in this middle of the small talk, close it. Don't sort of mutter at the end, oh yeah, I gotta go. Hey, I gotta go. Oh, right, okay, off you go, because you don't quite know what to say. So perhaps you have to go. Perhaps, yeah, it's been great talking. So, you could say, listen, it was wonderful talking to you. I'd love to hear more. Perhaps, maybe next time. Or, when are you next in the area? It'd be wonderful. And so it means that, you know, you're very much engaged and you give that positive impression to that person. You know, you're not just suddenly ending the conversation and you're going, unless of course you're running late, but maybe suddenly you think, oh, I've got to go. Oh, I've got to go. I'm so sorry, but listen, it's been wonderful talking to you. Love to catch up. Do you have a card? Do you have a business card? Maybe we can chat a bit more on email or whatever. And so then you finish that conversation, you close it, but do close it. Don't just walk away or, you know, just suddenly turn with your cup of coffee and off you go. So, you know, so try and do that. So that's it. Those are your 10 tips. I did go through them really quickly, and I hope I gave you an idea. As I say, some of these, all of this will be in the notes that I've put together and that you can see, which is a post I'd written. And also it gives you some of the expressions that you could use, make notes and play around with them. I always say to my clients, play around with the language. We all make mistakes. We all, you know, try it. Don't be afraid of trying to, but, you know, to speak and things. Now, this is my little announcement I wanted to make. Now, I've had a lot of people, like I conducted a survey to all my readers on my blog about what sort of courses they wanted to see next year, because I'm always looking to how to help you work your way to becoming more confident communicators in business English. And the biggest winner was small talk. Funny that. And it's no surprise for all the reasons we've also looked at today. And so my big thing is to say to you that I will be coming soon, be launching a little book of recipes, perfect recipes for small talk. And so I will be sharing with you little snippets and tasters of what recipes will be coming up on this little book that I'll be launching probably in the new year. Yes, it's most probably at the beginning of the new year. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm setting up a little small talk club, and I'm going to, and if you're interested, you want to hear more, you want to know what's going to be coming up in this little book, then it's not a little book, it's your book that you can take and keep dipping into when you need, just to help you. And it will be covering culture, taking into culture. Now, what I am going to be looking at is I am going to specify specifically dealing with the British. Small talk is big with the British, so we're going to be looking at how you can engage in small talk with the British, looking at topics. And this is not going to be before Christmas, Liliana, I'm afraid. You know, time is against me, but I will be launching it just post, in time for the January sales. Sound good? And so then we can look at that, and we'll be covering culture and language. Now, the thing here is, if you are interested, I will be sharing with you in the next day or so a link to join my small talk club. And once you're on that club, I will be then sharing you snippets of what will be in the book. And then when the launch comes, you will be first to be able to buy that book and use it as your must-have resource. So it's going to be the recipe book to perfectly stimulating small talk in English. Anyway, listen, everybody, I'm closing this conversation. Been lovely talking to you. I'm so glad all of you could come to this lesson today, 30th of November. So I hope to see you next week. Next week will be another topic, who knows what. And don't forget to download the e-guide. If you haven't done so, join my blog and my list, and watch this space when I let you know about the Small Talk Club. In the meantime, this is me, Shanti Kumaraswamy Street from English with a Twist, saying ciao for now. Stay warm, everyone, and I'll see you next week. Ciao, take care, bye.